and answer. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to answer most of you guys' questions at the end here, so make sure you guys are commenting down below. Also, make sure you guys comment if you can hear me. So that way we make sure it's, it's live, so we got to make sure it's going good. All right, so what we're going to do here is we're going to discuss something because it kind of bothered me a little bit. All right, so we put out a poll on YouTube just to see what everybody's current bankroll status is at. And coming through with all the votes, we had almost nearly 1,000 votes on this poll so far. Almost about 50%, I think it was about 48 to 50%, voted that they have nothing left in their bankroll at the time of seeing that. So we're going to go through here and I'm going to explain to you guys exactly the reason why this should never really happen to you if you're doing it right. All right, no matter what your bankroll is. All right, now here's the problem that most people face. The problem that most people face is their bankroll is small. They have a couple $100, they got a $500 bankroll, and they really don't understand that the amount of money that they're betting, their unit size, is not what it should be, okay? Because here's the thing. If you have a $500 bankroll, your bet size, your unit size, should be about $5 to $10. All right, that's 1 to 2%. That is what it should be if you have a $500 bankroll. Now, here's the thing. Betting $5, $10 at a time, people aren't impressed with that. They don't like that. Those are small gains, right? It's small. It takes a long time to build up. But that's the way that it goes in sports betting, guys. And I see this all the time, man. People keep going broke and losing their whole bankroll because of this exact thing that I'm about to tell you. So when you have a $100 bankroll, $200 bankroll, $500 bankroll, they're betting $100 a game, or they're betting $50 a game, or $75 a game, and they just go on a little bad losing streak, maybe lose 2 or 3 games in a row, and they've completely shattered their bankroll, or they've lost it all in a matter of just 3 to 5 games. That should never be the case. All right, you have to realize that should never be the case, because here's the thing: no matter what your bankroll is, and if you're using it at, like, if your unit size is comparable to what your bankroll is and you're playing 1 to 2%, you can literally lose 60% of the time and you're still not going to lose your bankroll. All right, so if you're hitting at 40%, which is very, very bad, that is very bad and that is horrible. That is like a bad roll and you're just rolling bad. You still are not going to lose your bankroll. All right, the only way that you're going to lose your bankroll is not using good unit sizes. Then once that's happened, you start chasing them. Then you start betting more and more money out of your bankroll. Then before you know it, your bankroll is gone because you made a couple stupid bets and some late night bets. So here's the thing. I do want to address this going forward because we got NFL season coming up. So in NFL season, this is the thing. Monday Night Football. Monday Night Football is almost designed for everybody that lost their money on Sunday to try to make it all back on Monday night. All right, that's what the NFL season and Sunday football is designed, and Monday Night Football is designed to do. Here's the thing. You got to realize this. Everybody loves to bet football. Everybody does. Everybody absolutely loves football. But you got to realize this is one of the worst sports to bet. Yes, I'm not saying go out there and not bet it. I'm not saying that. This is just one of the worst sports to bet. The reason why, because you only have basically one day. You got Sunday to turn a profit for the whole entire week, all right? And if you don't, then you're struggling and you have to wait that whole entire week to try to turn a profit for the next week. Now, not a lot of people have that discipline in them. They really don't. Not a lot of people can really relax after a losing day on a Sunday and wait all the way till next week. So what do? They go and they start dumping a crazy amount of money into Monday Night Football, which is usually what? One game. There's one game. So you're usually looking at one game trying to find an edge somehow, and usually there's not, and then you're blowing a stupid amount of money on Monday Night Football. So this is what happens in the NFL season. So I'm trying to say this way before NFL season to get you guys a bit prepared when it comes to NFL season, to not chase, not do these stupid things. If you do this right, if you bet on sports right and correctly, you will not lose your bankroll. You will never lose your bankroll. Believe me, it will never happen, because you have to go on a tremendous losing streak in order to really take away your bankroll, or you have to be consistently bad over about a year. If you're consistently bad for almost a year, then yeah, you're probably going to lose your bankroll. All right. But it's very hard to be consistently bad for a whole entire year. That's 12 months that you're going to be consistently bad. I mean, even flipping a coin, you can probably do better than that, and you won't lose your bankroll. All right. You got to realize that. Okay. So here's the thing. Bankroll management is key. It's number one. That is exactly what you need to worry about. All right, guys, bankroll management is the biggest thing, and your unit size, how you correlate your unit size with your bankroll. Very important, strictly important, okay? So make sure that you guys are correlating your unit size to your bankroll 1 to 3%, all right? 5% is where you're kind of fluctuating and you're actually like very, very aggressive, all right? 5% is kind of maxing it out a little bit, all right? That's when you're really pushing the envelope and you really want to build that bankroll fast. But here's the thing, for you to build that bankroll fast, you have to be hitting pretty good, all right? Because now if you're not hitting pretty good, now you're going to decrease that bankroll even quicker. So it works on both ends there, all right? So you have to realize that. 1 to 2% is always the safe mark. When you're staying in between 1 to 2%, you are almost guaranteed that you're never going to lose that bankroll. All right, so it just bothered me going on there and seeing on the poll where people were saying 50% of the people say they lost everything at the time, basically, of seeing that. So, and here's the thing: I seen in the comment section of that, most of you guys that commented in there lost your bankroll during the NBA Finals. So here's the thing: if you didn't pay attention to this when I said it before, when the playoffs hit, you should only be betting half a unit plays because your money should be made in the regular season. This proves that point right there from what everybody commented and said on the NBA Finals where they all lost their bankrolls. It shouldn't matter. Honestly, it shouldn't have mattered because you shouldn't have been playing big money on the NBA Finals when there's just one game to play on. All right, you have to realize that. When the playoffs come, those are half a unit plays all day long, all the way throughout. NFL, NBA, all these playoffs to the Super Bowl, to the NBA Finals. They're half unit plays. Just stick with it. Just stick with the half unit plays and just ride it out. That's the thing. Playoffs are tough. It's tough to make money in the playoffs. And obviously we seen that by what everybody was commenting. I mean, I was kind of mind boggled by people saying the NBA Finals absolutely destroyed their bankrolls because it's just one game. So you're obviously not staying disciplined. You're not doing what you have to do to be successful in sports betting. So I don't really want to see that out there. Guys, you guys shouldn't be following this channel if you guys are not going to listen and not going to take the advice. And if you guys are not going to go out there and use that proper unit size along with your bankroll. Because believe me, I understand that if you only have a couple $100 bankroll, if you have a $500 bankroll, yeah, betting $5, $10, it doesn't get anywhere. I understand that. But you have to realize that if you're looking further down the road, 6 months, 7 months from now, your bankroll could steadily keep increasing, and then your unit size is going to increase alongside with it. So eventually, with the compound interest effect going in, you're going to start stacking that bankroll up. Now the bankroll is going to start stacking and stacking and stacking. Before you know it, in a year and a half, you have a couple thousand in there as your bankroll, and you're making good sized bets. All right, so you have to realize, even starting with a low amount of money, you can still stack it up, but it takes time. It takes a lot of time to do that with a lower amount of money. With any type of investing, whether it's the stock market, whether it's crypto, whether it's any of that stuff, you can't go into it with a small amount of money thinking you're just going to make a big amount of money in a matter of a couple months. That's just not how it goes. It takes money to make money. That's the way it is, and it's always been like that, and it always will be. You need money to make money, all right? Parlays, that's why they put them out there, because they know that people with their small bankrolls are going to roll in there and be like, oh, I could put $10 down and then, oh, $10 and, you know, I got a chance to make 1,000. Well, you're probably not going to hit that, all right? That's probably not going to happen. They know that. That's why they put those out there for you. That's what's promoted highly. That's why a lot of people that are out there, there's handicappers out there that have their names with parlays and shit, and it, like, you know, it shouldn't be like that. That's just the way that it is, all right? People go out there and they're trying to say stuff with parlays. Like I said, guys, it doesn't work. Believe me, it does not work. What I'm telling you is what works. You guys need to realize that. You guys need to stick to it, all right? Stick to that bankroll management, that unit size. Just stick to it, and you will not lose your bankroll. Trust me. Like I said, if you are winning at a 40% rate, if you are winning at a 30% rate, you're still not losing your bankroll, all right? You're still not losing it, all right? You could be losing 70% of the time, which is absolutely terrible, but you're still going to have some of your bankroll left. You got to realize that. You're not going to lose 100% of the time. You're not. Because that on the flip side is impossible. Because then that means some people could win 100% of the time, which is impossible. So as long as you just stick to proper management, proper unit size, this goes with any gambling. Any gambling, guys. This goes with blackjack, roulette, all that stuff, poker, any of that stuff. As long as you stick with the bankroll and your unit size, your bankroll should never be evaporated. All right? As long as you stick to it, you should be able to stay in the game. That is the key. You got to be able to stay in the game, because if you don't stay in the game and you're out, there's no room to get that money back, and there's no room to make a profit later on down the road. You have to start all over again, and we get this constantly where people are saying, I'm starting all over again. I lost 10,000 last week. I lost 20,000 last month. I lost this amount this week. You have to stay disciplined. You shouldn't be losing big amounts of money, and you shouldn't be winning crazy big amounts of money either. It should be a steadily increase of money being stacked onto your bankroll. All right, guys, so hopefully that was able to help you guys. It bothered me to see that in the poll, so that's why I jumped on here with this Q&A. Matt, we're going to go right now and see if we have any questions, and we're going to answer your guys' questions right now.
Yeah, we have a lot of questions here on YouTube, and the first one from Rodney Sanford, he said, if I have $500, how much should I be betting?
So for $500, like I said, $500, your unit size should be $5 to $15. That's what it should be. I know that's minimal. I know that's small, but you got to realize that over the time you're going to be able to build that up. All right? As long as you are staying consistent and you're not rushing things, and like I said, you're not going to lose a crazy amount and you're not going to win a crazy amount, but you just steadily increasing that over a period of time, you'll be able to raise that bankroll up.
Yeah, and we have another one from Joseph saying, practice, 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 and know what your percentages are before putting in real money.
Yeah, exactly. That's great. That's a great thing to do, is definitely to practice. And you could literally, if you're brand new to sports betting, you could take 6 months to a year and just practice doing it and writing it on paper, writing it in our bet tracker that we have. You don't need money to actually, real money to bet, to put it in our bet tracker. But just tracking your stuff throughout 6 months through a year before actually putting your real money on there. That's a great thing to do, because then you can, that's about a trial test, and you're able to see things and go through and see what your percentages are before applying real money. That's good advice.
Yeah, another question here is, any tips for sports betting exchange?
Sports betting exchange. So I'm not too sure what you're talking about. Maybe sports betting exchange being they're exchanging plays. Like, I know there's some sports books that are like peer-to-peer where they're exchanging plays, but maybe we'll get back to that one. I'm not too sure about sports betting exchange.
Yeah, we have a couple other comments saying what their favorite sports to bet on, and one of them being tennis and basketball, best for betting, and another being NHL is the best to bet on.
Yeah, I agree with those. I do. I definitely agree with those, as long as you guys aren't saying really NFL or college football or anything like that. The only reason behind those is, like I said, NFL probably wouldn't be, or college football wouldn't be the worst if you could bet them almost every single day and you had more games to play with. It's really tough in football. You only got the weekends to play with, and you got to think, on that Saturday or Sunday, you have to make your profit in professional. Speaking it professionally, when you're at a professional level of this, you literally on Sunday have to make a whole week's of income on that one day. So that's what the issue is with that. That's the issue with that and with college football, is you only have one day to make a profit for the whole entire week. And if you don't, then you have to wait. Obviously, you have to wait the whole entire week to enable to do that again. Now, I'm not saying that that's the case, because if you handicap more than just NFL, obviously you're going to have more opportunities throughout the week. But if you just handicap NFL, that's why it's nearly impossible to make a full-time income just off of betting the NFL and college football.
Yeah, another one from Darren Ward on Facebook said, Frank, should you limit your bets to only 5 a day once you have your set bankroll? What's up, Darren? So here's the thing. This is what I like to say. I mean, you don't want to get carried away, obviously, but here's the thing, is if you limit yourself, if you go through the day and you're looking at your plays and you got 10 plays on the board, somehow you end up coming up with 10 plays, for you just to take 5 out of those, I'm not too sure how you're going to be able to differentiate which ones are going to be the winners. That's the problem. That's the only problem with that. Like with us and how we go through our stuff and how we come up with our plays, like we go through a checklist and roll through a checklist. So at the end of that is where you come up with your plays, and that's what you put in no matter what it gives you. But it's kind of tough because you don't know which 5 plays. If you're going to limit yourself, it's kind of hard to limit yourself if you have more than 5 plays for the day, because what if you leave a couple out that were actually ended up being winners?
you don't know which ones are going to win and lose. That's the only issue with that, and with the issue with limiting your plays.
Yeah, another comment here on YouTube. It's Harold saying betting minus 200 is really no value on a straight bet. Why not run line or alternative run line to get more value?
So here's the thing. When it comes to value and betting minus 200s or whatnot, you got to realize that if you're doing this at a high level and you're trying to do this over a long term, betting minus 200 or taking a run line in a game. In baseball, you want to take a run line in the game. Well, what happens if they don't cover that run line but they win by 1 run? Now you lost compared to the guy that put the minus 200 down and ended up winning and grabbing a half a unit instead of losing a full unit on that. All right, so that's the difference when it comes to betting minus 200s and above. I agree, when you start getting minus 300 and above that, then it's kind of pointless when it gets that high. But at minus 200, that's not crazy amount of value that you're losing. So here's another thing I'll discuss real quick too about juice. And people talk about, minus 250, I'm scared, I don't want to bet that's too much juice. Well, here's the thing. Month to month, you guys, your unit sizes, your unit gains, you're gonna gain a certain amount of money on certain plays. A minus 200 play, like I said, if you bet a full unit on a minus 200 play and you win it, you're only winning a half a unit. But you're still winning a half a unit, all right? So these little gains are bankroll, they pad your stats for your bankroll is what they do. Those little gains off of big juice, they still contribute to your bankroll and to your unit gains for the month. All right, you have to realize that. So even when something is high priced, even if it wins and it's high priced, you got to realize that you still gain some money on that. Now, if it loses, like I said, the reason why you don't go on a minus 200 and bet 200 to win 100, if that's not your bankroll size, is because you'll be down like a couple units if you end up losing that. You just stick to your same unit size. It doesn't matter. You lose it, you win it, you're either gaining a little bit or you just set back maybe a half a unit or whatnot. So that's when it comes down to playing minus 200s above. Like I said, minus 300 or more, that's where you start really fluctuating and there's no really reason to play something that high. But as for minus 200, minus 200s are not that bad.
Another comment here on YouTube is from Iggy Smalls, and he said, do you hedge your bets if the odds are huge to cover?
Well, hedging more or less comes into play when people do parlays, more or less. That's when the hedging comes into play. Or in-game. In-game you can hedge and you can do some things. Like there's a strategy that we like to use for in-game for like NBA where we discuss like, you can catch both teams usually being an underdog during the game at one point. And then you're basically hedging your way and you're making a profit no matter what. Now, it could work that way, and then hedging can also work with parlays. Because let's say you have a 3 or 4 teamer out and you hit 3, you're waiting for one team to come through, hasn't started yet. Yeah, obviously you can go bet the opposite way on that and just get a for sure return on your money. Now, hedging, that's the only way really hedging comes into play, because other than that, if you just bet a team straight up, you can hedge them maybe in game. If you bet an underdog just before the game, that's the only way really hedging can come into play. So hedging's mostly used for parlaying.
Another comment from Darren said, when should you adjust your unit size, daily, weekly, etc.?
So for your unit size, I always say a monthly basis, because you want all your stats to be recorded over the month. So you want to be able to see over that monthly process to see where your bankroll is, because you can have a bad week. It's kind of tough to do it on the weekly process, because if you have 3 out of 4 good weeks and then you're adjusting your bankroll, let's say on your bad week, then that's just it's a little too much. So definitely probably stick to the monthly basis of reassessing the bankroll.
Michael Moore said, why do sportsbooks like a Bovado ban people for winning big amounts?
Because they don't want you to make a consistent living doing it. I brought this up multiple times, is because when people go out there, like I said, and sport the Lamborghinis and all this and everything and say they get it from sports betting, it's incredibly tough to get that from sports betting. And the reason why is because these sports books, if you're consistently betting if you're consistently betting 1,000 and up a game and you start consistently winning, they're going to limit you and they're going to take you down a notch. Why? Because they don't want you to win that amount of money, okay? Now, to make a good amount of money and a crazy amount of money on sports betting, it becomes very, very complicated, because you need to have a lot of sports books. You need to have a lot of similar lines. You have to be betting the same small amount on every single sports book to be equal up to the one unit size that you're at. It becomes very complicated trying to make a $250,000 a year off of it and up. It becomes very, very complicated, because even making a standard living off of it it is complicated. Believe me, trust me, it's very complicated just making a standard living of it. So if you're trying to excel and go above that, it becomes extremely complicated, and you have to have a lot of technology. You got to have tech people. You got to have a lot of stuff going on. You got to know people in different states for where it's legal and where it's not. You got to know a lot of stuff when it comes to that.
Joseph on YouTube asks, can I sports bet online in Florida?
In Florida, Florida right now, I know that BetUS, obviously you can bet, because you can bet anywhere in the U.S. using that. But other sports books than that in Florida, not too sure if you can do any other ones in Florida besides BetUS. I don't think BetMGM you could use in Florida. So I would think that, yes, you can sports bet, but you're probably limited to like one sports book or whatnot.
Another question from Darren said, better to bet at the window or online?
Oh, definitely online. Yeah, the window stuff is pretty much gone. There's no reason to even really do that anymore. I mean, you're only going to go to a sports book really just to hang out. You know, just to hang out maybe and watch the game, have a few drinks or whatnot, and have some fun. That's really the only reason to go to the sports book anymore, because you have so much access to online, on your phone, that you could just put a bet in on your phone. And like, let's say you're trying to do live betting. That's really hard to do when you're like, if you're trying to go to the window. Like, you have to go to the window like right when it's going, and hopefully nobody's in line before you miss it. So definitely nowadays, you shouldn't even have to go to the window anymore. And I would think pretty soon, going future, a couple years from now, that's going to probably be obsolete. They're just going to be computer screens sitting at the window for you to just go and press the button and print your ticket out. But yeah, definitely just online on your phone, on your computer, definitely the way to go.
One question from All Eyes on the Line. How's life working as a capper, and do you do this full time?
Yeah, I do this full time. And like I said, it's obviously it's not easy. Like, I don't want to make it seem like it's very easy to do. It's very, very extremely hard to do, like I said. And you got to have a lot of different sports books. You got to have a lot of similar lines on a daily basis. You got to have access to a lot of stuff that, depending on which state you're in, it doesn't give you access to. So it's a struggle. But of course, you know, I can't complain. Like, you know, people that hate their job and say like, you know, oh, I hate what I'm doing. I can't really say that, because honestly, I love what I do. I love to bet on sports. I love to watch the games. Even though, like I say, you shouldn't watch the games, but, you know, it's just nature. If you love sports, you're going to watch the games too. But I love to watch the games and have money on the games and make a living off of sports. It's just, you know, it's always been my passion ever since I was little with sports. So it's just great to have that in my life, and to be exactly what it is that I'm doing.
Spliff Kingsbury asks, how many units do you stop on the day if you lost?
So, all right, so losing units, how much you should stop or put like a stop loss on, really you should have a set amount of plays once you put your bets in for the day. So what that is what you should ride or die with, honestly. So if you have 5 bets for the day, that's what you got for the day. You don't bet more if you lost those. If you won more, you don't bet no more. You just ride or die with whatever it is that you're coming up with, you know, right at the beginning when you're going to put your plays in. There's no reason to bet more. Like, this happens a lot too when people start winning. Like, they have a winning day and they're like 5-0 and there's still like a couple games left. So they're like, oh, I won some money. Let me just go throw some money on some more games. There ain't no reason to do that, really, because you can just take the day. You already won, so there's no reason to force things, and you know, just because there's more games on. So whatever you start the day out with and you put your plays in, just ride or die with those. Don't bet more or do anything like that. You don't really need to.
Vijal on YouTube asks, what is more profitable, live betting or pre-match betting?
It really depends. Now, live betting is I think is pretty valuable. Live betting is pretty valuable. But the problem is with that is that you really have to be watching every game. You have to be watching every single game and have eyes on every game up to the second to know what's going on it. So it's extremely hard to do, because you could find value in play in almost every game that's played throughout the day. But you have to be watching that. You have to be physically watching those games, because watching on your phone is not quick enough. All right, guys, it's just not. So it's very hard to do. You need to have like 30 screens in your house pulled up with every single game going up and going on to be able to know exactly what's going on here and here and here to see, you know, live betting and how that is. All right, guys, so I'm gonna have to cut it off here. You know, thanks for everybody for joining in. Like I said, I like to do these, you know, every Friday, Saturday on the weekends to talk with you guys a little bit. Hopefully you guys got some good info out of the questions and answers. Thanks for everybody that had your questions on there. Also, make sure you guys pay attention to the beginning of this video for that bankroll and that unit size. Stick to it, and I promise you, you will never lose your bankroll. All right, guys? As always, I'm Frank with Linemaker Sports. I'll see you guys next time.